This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Running a Fever, episode 311.
Shattering the Yo-Yo.
T-shirt sized advice. Previously on Running a Fever.
Be aware of your addictions. To ignore your addiction can be dangerous as well. So I'm kind of addicted to this cran grape stuff. It's a diet version, so it's 5 calories per 8 ounces. And I've just been drinking tons of it. I love it. It's just like Kool-Aid without the guilt, because there's no sugar. God knows what's in it, really. Because if it was really grape juice, it would have a ton of calories probably. Neurosurgeon recommended yoga. I went to a class and it was good, and I learned how to avoid harming muscles. Your gluteal muscles are there to support you in certain situations. They do a lot of work, take a lot of pressure off the back. If you keep your back straight, they will help you to avoid back problems. She also talked about joints, specifically knee joints. Having tight muscles that are not flexible puts more pressure on the joints. And so now I understand quite a bit about why my doctor would have recommended yoga to me. It's basically stretching and becoming more flexible. Felt good, and I'm gonna continue to do that. So that's one reason why you should be suspicious of, as I've said before, one-size-fits-all advice. Everyone should walk 10,000 steps a day. No one should eat after 6. All these different things. We tend to just believe these one-size-fits-all simple statements that keep getting repeated everywhere. Carbs are bad, fat is bad, meat is bad. Well, if all those are true, then you really can't eat anything, because everything has either fat, protein, or carbohydrates. So you do the best you can. A lot of these things, I just have to try and see how they work for me. A lot of the things, they work for some people, they don't work for other people. And I tend to be skewed toward the thing I'm reading now. I just tend to go with what makes sense. I look at people who I trust, who've had actual things happen to them, and listen to what they do. It's a good rule of life. If you want something, find someone who has it and do what they did. Trust my experience. Don't trust all this stuff I'm talking about, all these ideas that I may have gotten from reading something or from hearing something or from watching a YouTube video. A lot of these things I try, and then I know whether they work or not. Here are the things I know that work. Counting calories, exercising to increase my caloric output or my energy expended, calories burned, eating throughout the day to eliminate intermediate hunger that might lead me to do the wrong thing, getting at least 8 and preferably more hours of sleep every night. Makes my brain work better, makes me less susceptible to temptation. Doing things on a regular basis so they become habit. Like going to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, 3 times a week, or 4 times a week. Working out at 4 o'clock every Saturday, or 6 o'clock in the morning every Saturday, whatever it is. Do it repeatedly so it becomes a habit and it becomes something that your body wants to do.
In the corporate world, I hear this buzzword. It's not a major buzzword or buzz phrase like outside the box, but in my world, I hear it now and then. It refers to a range of choices. You generally cannot get a size 48 t-shirt. Instead, you get an extra large. Instead of 50 sizes, you get 4 or maybe 6 choices. And sometimes this thinking helps when a business is trying to streamline and be more efficient, though the customer may prefer a wider range of choices. And the fewer sizes available, the less accurate the sizing becomes. One size fits all is the extreme version of this. In the early days of the automobile, Henry Ford famously said of the Model T, "They can have any color they want as long as it's black." That would have worked for me. In fact, I have a black Ford in my garage as I record this. When it comes to the human body, if there were levels of unique, it would perhaps be the most unique thing in the universe. No two are alike ever. In fact, my body of a second ago is different than my body now. The only constant over time is change. The body mass index is a kind of t-shirt size for health management. It's an estimate based on its correlation to body composition. I've been fairly vocal about the shortcomings of BMI. I like this humorous article about those shortcomings in the Lies, Damn Lies, and Statistics column of Swift Economics. At least I think it's humorous. There's a link in the show notes. All of this, of course, is my opinion, as are most of the statements I make on Running a Fever. And I carry this ideological bias into meetings with health professionals and sometimes take their advice with not so much a grain of salt as perhaps a pound of salt. But saltiness aside, I shouldn't use my biases to justify ignoring good advice, even if it's not perfect advice. My advice to you is to keep that fever for health if you've got it already. And if you don't, catch it. And in any case, pass on to someone else what you like or dislike about the podcast. Check out runningafever.com. Subscribe on YouTube. Review us on Apple Podcasts. And I will be eternally grateful. And we'll talk to you next time on Running a Fever.